From MMA Fighting Studios, this is Between the Links. And now, your host, Mike Heck.
The iconic voice of Esther Lynn welcomes you to a brand new edition of Between the Links. Yes, we're BTLing on a Tuesday this week, and that's because we have a lot to talk about. There's really no time to mess around because we have a very special show and just a full plate of things, which, 316 had a lot of collective groans from the MMA community heading in, but I thought it delivered on Saturday night, capped off by sensational championship fight finishes by retaining champ Merab Dvalishvili and new champ Kayla Harrison. We'll talk a lot about what happened this past weekend in Brick City, and we have an old-fashioned slobber knocker, an old rivalry reborn this week on the program. So let us introduce the combatants first. He is the climber of all climbers. He's Mr. No Gray Area, the hot take kid, the man, the myth, the legend from MMAfighting.com, who will be boots on the ground in Atlanta this week, Mr. Jed Mishu. How are you, sir?
I'm good. Boots on the ground. Tomorrow morning, media day. My first one of those in some time, so that'll be exciting. Got myself a new driver this morning, Mike, so that's exciting. I suspect I'll be joining the PGA Tour sometime soon, now that science and technology has improved my driving game. And, get to see our old friend Shaheen Al-Poopy. Very excited to deal with him today.
Yes, as Jed just laid out, the man is back. Shaheen Al-Shadi, a man I consider a mentor, a motivating force. He's an MMA Fighting Hall of Famer who just had to go on and take this little editor-in-chief job with that little website, Yahoo Sports and Uncrowned. But all joking aside, couldn't be more proud of this man. Couldn't be more honored to have him back on the show. The wise wordsmith, the one and only Shaheen Al-Shadi. It's really happening. How are you, buddy?
Oh man, I'm doing so good. It's been too long since I've heard those words, the wise wordsmith. I missed you fellas. It's good to be back. Jed, you look like you literally just came off the golf course, and I'm supremely jealous.
I literally not quite literally, because I had a couple of meetings I had to take in between time, but I scheduled my driver fitting to be just in time to take a call on the road and then come do this. So yes, I was swinging a golf club an hour ago. And again, awesome. Now I'm perfect. Watch out, Rory. I can't make the US Open field this year. I already missed it, but next year I'm pretty sure I'm going to be in.
Yes. I have not had the pleasure to be able to play golf in let me see. Our oldest is about to turn 3. Our youngest is about to turn 1 next week. I have not played.
Yeah, you're never going to play golf
2.5 years. I'm so freaking jealous.
You can play golf when your children are like 10 and you can play golf with them, but
But then you can play a lot.
Yeah, I see Mike out here just crushing the links with his boys. So soon.
And with Derek Lewis.
With Derek Lewis, which, by the way, that was great stuff.
Thank you very much. I'm excited to continue to play golf while Shaheen watches us on the sidelines. And I'm excited for us to get into this program. And Shaheen, I want to start with you because, like I said at the beginning, a lot to unpack from UFC 316. As you know, 2025 has been a weird year for the UFC. Some ups, certainly some downs. Card quality overall lacking for sure. And UFC 316 didn't have super high expectations across the board on paper, but this one in execution, at least for me, checked off a lot of boxes. So we've had a few days to digest this all. How do you grade UFC 316 as a whole?
Is this to me?
This is to you, Shaheen. Yes.
Wow. So out of practice. Look at this, man.
It's been a bit.
This man's out here editing shit. He doesn't know about being in the trenches. He doesn't know about content.
I've changed.
Ivory Tower Al-Shadi. That's what they call him.
Oh man, I was lost looking at Jed's fit. It just really is. It's bringing me back to the links. I'm very jealous. Grading on a curve, it's such a weird question at this point, right? In 2025, because it's like you ask somebody to grade, like, how was the UFC last night? And I feel like we're just grading on a curve because this year is just not. I wouldn't say this has been a memorable year. I wouldn't say this is going to go down as one of the greatest years in MMA history. So in an overall scheme, how good was that card compared to like cards of years past? Like, I don't know. It was fine. Compared to the rest of 2025, it's pretty good, right? Like I had a great time watching all the various results. Like it was action packed. It was stacked considering what we've grown accustomed to this year to a certain extent. I'd give it like a B and a B plus maybe. But again, that's grading on a curve. So it's just very difficult in this year where you don't really know like what's the quality level that we're going for at this point.
Jed, I think you gave it a B minus as well on the post-fight show after the watch party on Saturday. But now that we've seen some storylines unfold and discussion points, a lot of them we're going to get into in a matter of moments. Sticking with the B minus or a little higher, a little lower? What do you think?
I'm going to elevate it to a flat B, Mike, because all the criticisms are like super valid, right? Like that main event, great for Merab. Like that, he finished somebody. That's something new and different for his career. That's exciting. It has spawned a lot of people to very puzzlingly be like, actually, he's the greatest bantamweight of all time because he tapped out a dude that we all universally agreed didn't deserve to be getting this fight. But great performance. It was fun, which is super critical because he is not always fun. But mostly I'm bumping this up because of the co-main event, because the more I have had time to marinate on the Kayla Harrison Amanda Nunes fight, the more excited and interested I am in that. Seeing Kayla come back to ATT, the heroes welcome from like the luminaries that are at, one of the greatest gyms of all time, certainly one of the greatest gyms active in the sport today. The storylines intrinsic to Amanda being a former champion from there, having gone her own way, coming back, like I'm all in on that fight. And we got that fight because of Kayla's performance. And it wasn't Kayla won. Kayla just took it to Juliana Pena. Left no doubt. This was not the Ketlin Vieira win. Like that performance alone has really made me feel a lot better about UFC 316 because of where we're going from it. So full-fledged B.
Of course, as you mentioned, Jen, Merab Dvalishvili headlined this card in the rematch against Sean O'Malley, and a lot of talk about the life changes Sean O'Malley made, him coming in the best he's ever been, not having a torn labrum this time. And O'Malley did start off pretty well, Jed. He looked good early, had some trips and slips, unfortunately, in round one, loses that round. Round two is competitive. One judge actually gave Sean O'Malley round two, and then Merab just took over in round three, got the tap with the machine choke, as he likes to call it, to retain the belt. And Jed, last week on the program, not that long ago, you had a lot to say about this man, that he's quote-unquote not fun to watch. You had some takes. But he went out and he finished Sean O'Malley for the championship rounds, which you just kind of put over. So I'm going to put you in the solo position here. Has your opinion changed on Merab Dvalishvili after this performance?
No, because it's one performance. Like I had so many people came at me and were like, look at you. You're a dumb idiot. I was like, how did him finishing Sean O'Malley invalidate any of the words that I said before the fight? He's fought a bunch and he finished one dude, that one dude being Marlon Moraes, who was literally in the middle of getting stopped 7 consecutive times. Like his style, self-admittedly, frankly, I'm smart and right because his style, he went in the post-fight presser afterwards and was like, he directly said, you all act like I'm the asshole, when he was like, well, previously, I didn't have the belt. It mattered more to me to get the belt so I could say I'm a world champion. I prioritized that. Now I can be a little more free. I can fight a little. I can try stuff that maybe I wouldn't try before, i.e., as he said, I've been doing that choke in training. I've never done it in sparring, but in grappling, I do it all the time. Figured F it. I'll throw it up and see what happens, because now he is less encumbered by these strictures of I must win at all costs. And so I will not try to hurt anyone, just not get hurt myself. So all of y'all, I was stone right. And if he goes out and he wins the most shitty ass 48-47 over Corey Sandhagen, then everyone's going to be backpedaling to be to my position. One win does not change the whole structure of your career. He has historically not been interesting to me. And that's the critical thing. Casey loves watching him. And I wasn't like, Casey, you're an idiot. I was like, dude, that's cool. Not to my taste. Still not to my taste, with the obvious caveat that Saturday was dope. That was great. If he keeps doing that, then we can recontextualize the conversation. But one fight does not change it. The same way Wario Batista only got one letter back, because one fun fight after the worst fight of all time doesn't make you a hero. It means one thing happened.
Shaheen, welcome back, my friend. Your reaction to what you...
I missed you, Jed, so much.
There's a lot going on this week. I caught it so many places this week.
Yes. Shaheen,
frankly,
best, please go ahead.
You should have. And frankly, the people probably should be lobbying it a bit more at you. Like, this is ridiculous. What are we talking about, man? Like, I feel like, okay, I'll tackle this in two fronts. First front, Merab has 2 fights in 2025, right? Both of those fights were really fun. Like, I don't, what are we actually talking about? Because Umar Nurmagomedov was an incredibly fun and dramatic fight that, like, the swings and momentum, just everything that went along with it. Like, that's one of the more fun fights of a year where there hasn't been a ton of really great fights. And then this past one on Saturday was great as well. And it was, you see able to see different levels of different, like, you know, looks from both guys. Like, I don't know. I had a great time watching both. 2, like, I feel like I actually understand the deep-seated nature of where this bizarre hatred is coming from. And I feel you, Jed. I feel you. As a fellow Jose Aldo for life guy, got the painting right there. I feel you. Our man was wronged by Merab at a very strange part of his career, a very crossroads part of his career, where it was obvious that the UFC should have just given Jose Aldo the title fight. Instead, he has to fight Merab, and it's just a terrible fight. No one really wanted that. Didn't really do anything. Aldo should have won. And you got punished for that. So, like, you live with that. And so you hold this resentment towards Merab, just like you probably do towards Wario Batista, which, you know, that dude's not doing a lot of favors. He's not doing a lot of favors to me either, of, like, trying to be the most liked guy to do that to Jose Aldo and then Patchy mix back to back. Like, that's not, you're not getting on the winning side for Jed and Shaheen, probably in that sense. But, like, I get it. At some point, though, you got to drop it. You got to just, like, yeah. He did that to Jose. It's fine. He's actually a pretty fun fighter. He's a pretty fun personality. He's a very interesting interview at this point. Like, he has really become something that I frankly was not I didn't think he could get to this point of just making himself this interesting, to whether it's in the cage, outside of the cage. And frankly, I think he has. And it's a credit to him, man, because he's probably the most dominant champion we have going outside of, like, an Islam or something like that, who I guess isn't a champion anymore.
I've never said he's not interesting. He is absolutely interesting. And I've never said he's not great. I want to just I know you're not saying that I said that. I just want to reaffirm that, because God, the comments, I'm sure, are terrible. He's just like, this was interesting. No bones about it. If he does this again, then terrific. Let's talk about it. The Umar fight, that fight was dramatic, intense. That fight is not, like, rewatchable fun to me. It is just like, because Merab's whole ethos for most of his career has been, I will make you very tired. And that's a way to fight. And certainly in the strictures of these rules, it is a great way to fight. He is unbelievably good at it, but it's not like, I'm going to physically hurt you. It's, I'm going to emotionally hurt you, because you will suffer the shame and indignity of just being so goddamn tired you can't move. And that's awful. Like, it would suck to fight him, but I don't want to watch that. This week is really the first time that he tried to hurt somebody, and he did, and it was cool.
But also, like, go back even to the first Sean fight. You have this dude, just all the theatrics, kiss in the back, like he's just generally trying to do stuff.
Yeah, I hate that, though.
Well, you're just a party pooper. You're
no, try to hurt him. If you have enough in you to give it, like, blow him a kiss or whatever, try and physically hurt the man.
How many freaking weeks are we watching the same wrestle boxer do the same BS for 15 minutes, and then you immediately forget about it, and then you go on to the next one, and all these, like, parade of Contender Series people who are basically the same people doing the same stuff? Like, at least Merab's sticking in your brain. He's doing something different. It is very compelling to me to watch this man fundamentally break people who do not seem like they could be broken. Like, we really do see it in every fight at this point. Like, you saw Sean coming out for that last round. Like, he had a different look in his eyes that he did at the first round, man. And that's someone who took a year basically to dedicate their life to like, hey, I am going to get good at this thing that this guy is good at, and I'm going to win. And then within 8 minutes, all of that was sucked away, and you just saw it on his face of, like, oh, dude, this is just like, I could fight this guy 100 times. This is going to go the same way. That to me is compelling in a way that, like, at least is different. Like, all I ask for is stand out, be different. Whether that different isn't like knocking somebody out or whatever. Like, at least this is different in a sense that like I will remember this, because it seems like fighting Merab in the same way that, fighting Habib or something would be such an awful experience, because it would just fundamentally destroy your like inner soul and confidence about who you are, especially if you're this person who you've basically formed your entire life and identity around, like, I'm this ultra tough guy and no one can break me. And then there's this dude who's the goofiest guy on the planet just doing this easily. And then not even like, he wasn't even sweating afterwards. Like, I don't actually understand. We need to just, at some point in this man's life, someone do a little research and like find out if this is the first actual mutant, first real X-Men, because like this doesn't actually make sense. And I feel like we've all collectively, between the three of us, watched fighting for probably way too many collective hours. I've never seen a human being who can do this type of stuff that Merab just seemingly can do easily. So to me, that's interesting. Like, I don't know what we're talking about.
And that's it. Like, it's just not like, I don't disagree with anything you said, because he is remarkable. He is the best bantamweight fighter currently, making a case to be the best bantamweight of all time. Not there, but making that case. Literally has the best cardio the sport has ever seen. Like, all agree. Just doesn't tickle me. Not like, if I wanted to watch cardio contest, I'd watch CrossFit. This last weekend, that was not what we were watching. This last weekend, he was actively trying to finish a fight, to impose harm, and to dominate an opponent with a finish, as opposed to break their soul. And that's not for me. You all may enjoy him. I don't yet. Hopefully, this becomes the start of a Habib run, because legitimately, this was one of the Habib criticisms for his career. Before he started that title run was, he's a lay and pray artist. He's boring. He just takes you down and wears on you and blah. And then suddenly he finished every human being alive and was like, actually, holy shit, that dude's unbelievable. If that's coming from Rob, great. And at that point, I'll be like, sick. He's no longer boring to me. But until we get more than a one fight sample size, I'm sticking with it.
I'm glad you're here, Shaheen. Not just because you're the man, but because of this next question, because old school post-fight shows, we would have asked this, and maybe a fight would have happened. Maybe you both would have been in agreement on this. But this has become just a massive debate heading into this fight and coming out of it. Merab now has 13 wins in a row. He's the champ, just got a finish. He beat Umar, the boogeyman of the division. And in his last 7 wins, he finished PFL champ, former PFL champ, Marlon Moraes, crazy comeback. Wins over former champs Jose Aldo, no matter how you feel about it. Petr Yan, and a pure and unadulterated mauling. Henry Cejudo beat Sean to win the belt, beats Umar, taps Sean to retain the belt. So we have a title win, 2 title defenses, and wins over 5 former world champions and non-regional promotions, 4 from the UFC, not to mention the other 7 wins on the resume. Shaheen Al-Shadi, is Merab Dvalishvili the bantamweight GOAT?
It's such a tough question, right? Because yeah, okay, Jed, you can wait. Bantamweight is such like a bizarre division in this sense, because is Merab Dvalishvili the best bantamweight that I have ever watched? Probably, right? Like if you give me prime Merab versus any prime bantamweight, I'm pretty sure I'm picking Merab. Like maybe there'd be a couple like iffies on it, but for the most sense, I feel pretty confident in that. And also, like it's just bizarre the way that we have to frame these things too, right? Because you look at his current run, and Chuck wrote a great piece on this on uncrowned.com. Great website. You should check it out. He wrote a great piece on this post-fight. We're essentially like looking at Merab's record and like this run that he's been on. And it's like the title starts with Sean O'Malley. So the title starts, very late into this run of wins. But like let's just pull it back a little earlier and say like he didn't have this whole weird situation with Aldo and he was able to get to the belt earlier. Let's just say the title run started with Aldo. If the title run all of a sudden is looking at defenses over Aldo, Petr Yan, Henry Cejudo, Sean O'Malley, Umar, and then Sean O'Malley, like we're calling that one of the greatest title runs we've ever seen in the lower weight divisions. Like it's just a different sense of like, we look at it differently because of when the belt came as opposed to, the actual names on it. So is he the best bantamweight of all time? I'm not ready to go there yet, but if he gets one more, then he's tied the record with Aljo, and honestly, he probably has the best resume. And again, he's already, in my opinion, the most talented bantamweight. So at that point, I'd probably say yes. I'm not willing to go there right now, but I also don't really have a great answer when you'd ask me, okay, then who's the alternative? Like Dominic Cruz or Aljamain Sterling, I guess, but it's just a very, very bizarre division compared to like a lot of its contemporaries.
Jed, has your opinion changed on this conversation?
I think this is a ludicrous conversation. I genuinely like this. To me is probably the most ludicrous, but it did crystallize something in me as I've been sort of forced to think about it because it has been a very prominent conversation. This is obviously outrageous. Dominic Cruz has 5 title wins. And, yes, if, the title reign started earlier, he would. And if I had wheels, I'd be a wagon. That's not the case. And I know Shaheen agrees at least with this part on me because we've talked about it ad nauseum historically. Every champion you ever talk to talks about the difference in defending a title, that it is the hardest thing to do because it is easier to be climbing the mountain than to be at the top. It is harder to motivate yourself time after time to not fuck up once, to in the words of Avon Barksdale, be a little slow, be a little late once, and it all goes to shit. It is the hardest thing to do in the sport. And yes, Merab's run is great. I'm not here to down that. I'm here to say he has 2 title defenses, one of which everybody universally agreed was nonsense. The Sean O'Malley fight is a nonsense fight. He delivered a great performance. Sean O'Malley is still a high-level opponent, but it
Nonsense
is
how? And universally agreed how? Like,
nobody believed that he deserved to fight for this belt.
So who was the alternative? Who was like a more deserving?
Anybody who hadn't just lost to him in a non-competitive fight 9 months ago.
I'm not even being combative.
No, Piotr Jan would have obviously been better. Still has its failings, but at least Piotr Jan had 1 fight, right? Like
I have seen 0 people outside of Piotr Jan saying Piotr Jan deserved that title shot instead of Sean.
I have seen 0. This is not a bit. Please tell me who outside of the business people thought Sean O'Malley deserved an immediate rematch. I don't
think anybody thought he deserved it, but it was one of those very bizarre and occasionally just very rare situations where it's like, actually no one deserves it. So just kind of like do the thing that'll make the most money. There was not actually somebody that got skipped over in this sense for this one.
I mean, I think literally any other bantamweight deserved it more than Sean O'Malley, who had just lost to him. But
Umar deserved it more? Like what?
Well, no, Umar also had just lost in him. So fair point on that one. Fair point on that one. You got me on that one. Umar would have deserved it slightly less.
Henry Cejudo deserved it more?
No, he was slightly more. Now you're just arguing semantics of my statements. You get the point. Besides, this isn't even the point. The point of the argument is Dominic Cruz has 5 title defenses. It is the hardest thing to do in the sport, and that matters because we've done this time after time after time lately. I remember when Max Holloway was the greatest featherweight of all time, and then he lost to Volkanovski, and everyone was like, oh, actually, yeah, that was probably silly. It's probably Jose Aldo. We're currently doing it with Volkanovski, and we'll see how his run ends. Maybe he does unimpeachably take it. People were doing it with Kamaru Usman, and then he lost to Leon. I was like, oh, that was very dumb. Obviously, what GSP had accomplished is significantly more. Frankly, if Pantoja wins at the end of this month, like probably going to start doing it with Pants. Like it is just happening over and over. And it is happening because nobody can see that the end might come. Because if tomorrow Umar gets a rematch and wins, or if tomorrow Corey Sandhagen beats Merab, everyone will just take a breath and be like, ah, shit, you know what? Merab actually only had 2 title defenses versus Dom's 5. That's not even half as many. Clearly, this is not, and they'll breathe again. It is a belief that this will happen forever.
There's a false equivalency with this situation, though, because you and I both know that like those Dom's 5 title defenses are not in the same climate or situation or even like level of competition that like what we're dealing with right now, right? Like Dominic Cruz,
they're as good as can be.
Those 5 times, well, a lot of them came against flyweights using your own John Jones logic against you, sir. Like most of those dudes were not actual bantamweights, but also half of them worked in the UFC. They were in the WC, and I understand we do the same thing with Jose Aldo. Me and you have had this conversation. We're on the same side with this with Jose, but like it's not the same thing to be.
It's 100. Like, that's ridiculous.
A division in its infancy that is not even operating within the UFC is not the same thing as Merab going out right now in the middle of this current climate and beating Jose Aldo, Piotr Jan, Henry Cejudo, Sean O'Malley twice, and Umar Nurmagomedov in a row. Like it's just not the same thing. Which is why honestly is why these conversations are dumb, because we're just like there's no actual like we're comparing things that actually can't be compared in like a real way. But like I don't know, I feel like you're just kind of salty about Merab and you don't want to give him the credit.
No, my statement is that Merab probably will, because here's the thing. I think he will be it. but he's won 2. I think it's ludicrous for you to just be like, actually, WEC doesn't count. When
I didn't
by
say
your
that.
own by your own acknowledgement, you're
I
like,
didn't say that.
we do
I'm saying
this with
it's
Aldo,
it's
but
a different level of comparison. But also, like, you're
that's
also
just outrageous.
you're putting
it was
like
the only bantamweight division
you're putting
globally.
an incredibly high value on this fact of like, hey, the UFC decided to give you this title shot now. Whereas me and you have had this conversation a bunch of times
He
before.
decided. He could have had it earlier. He didn't want to fight his friend. And I respect that personally, but that's the truth. Like, we've had this conversation a million times. The hardest thing to do is defend titles. That defending belts, title fight victories are the currency of greatness. Merab is gonna get there. That's the other part of this. We are in such a rush to say, I got here first to call him the GOAT. He's gonna, because he's probably gonna beat Corey. And if he gets one more and he's got 3 versus Dom's 5, it's a real conversation. If he gets 2 more, which is most likely, I would say, it's not even a question. So why are we having to say it right now? Because if he retires tomorrow,
Mike asked the question.
No,
we're in
no,
agreement.
This is not just Mike. This is
if he gets
everybody.
one more, if he gets one more, then that's kind of the one that it becomes a real thing. And that's exactly what I said. I agree with you then.
Yeah. And that's my whole point is we can just hold.
Good.
We just wait, everybody. Because if he loses his next fight, we will all fucking forget this like we forgot it with Kamaru, like we forgot it with Izzy. Like it will just go away, and it's so stupid to do it. And the worst part of all of this, the thing that makes me so infuriated, I fucking hate Dominic Cruz. I've never liked his ass. I hated him for his whole fucking title reign. And I'm stuck here being like, actually, guys, he won 5 in a row, and that's pretty goddamn impressive.
Well, this is a heated debate, a heated conversation, but there are other things to discuss. The point
you just brought Shaheen here to piss me off. That's all you did.
I think, yeah. I mean, listen, I have, I got.
We are agreeing.
I know, but you're needling me.
You guys are agreeing with this, but the point for round 1 is going to go to drum roll. I don't have the sound effect. It's actually going to go to Shaheen Al-Shadi. He is on the board.
You're just needling me.
Well done. Beautiful. Jed, we're gonna start with you here. Try to get you back on track here because Kayla Harrison did the damn thing. She wins the Bantamweight title. She runs over Juliana Pena just like you predicted. She did the thing, overcame some cheating from Juliana Pena, and then almost ripped her arm off in round 2 to become UFC champion finally. How massive was this moment for Kayla? And look, the big storyline was this wasn't just for the title. This was for the title of the face of women's MMA now. Both women put this out there. Is Kayla Harrison now the current face of women's MMA with this win?
Oh, yeah. Right? Like, who else is it? Like, I mean, I guess Shang, but like, is Shang really the face? Shang's just probably the best female fighter on the planet right now, you know? But Kayla Harrison this is what was supposed to happen originally, right? Like, she wasn't going to compete in MMA. Then she signs with PFL. We know that the PFL thing, how long can it last? It ends up lasting a lot longer than most people expect. Finally comes over. There's not a featherweight, so she just has to say, screw it, I'm going to make 135. And now here we are. Like, this is the long road of her MMA journey finally got here. And I don't know how long she'll be the face of women's MMA, because after the Amanda fight, if she wins, I don't know what's next. She might super lose that fight. It is, the face of women's A is that's a tough job title in the absence of Ronda Rousey, but she's got it. And like I said at the top, I'm excited for this because it's not going to save the women's bantamweight division. It's going to buy it some time, but man, the Amanda Nunes fight it's one of, if not like, it's certainly the best women's fight this UFC can put together right now. And it's one of just the best fights in general the promotion could put together. It's not Tom versus John, but that's a pipe dream. This is real. This is almost certainly going to happen either at the end of this year or next. And I am genuinely incredibly excited for this. And frankly, it's the first time I can say that about a women's bantamweight fight in a long, long time.
Yeah, we got the performance from Kayla, Shaheen, and what a moment we got after the win, right? Amanda Nunes gets in the octagon. They talk about the fight. They have this tremendous face-off, one that just got me so much more hype for this fight. I think this fight could be absolutely massive. I've gotten quite a bit of blowback for feeling this way because of the current state of women's MMA. So I ask you, is Kayla now the face? And then on top of that, your reaction to the face-off and where you sit and what you've seen since that moment. How big is Nunes versus Harrison for the UFC right now? Not just for women's MMA, not just for women's bantamweight, but for the collective of the promotion right now.
Well, there's two questions in there, so I'll answer it in two parts. First, is Kayla the face of women's MMA? I've seen a lot of people talking about this, in particular, like before this fight, that this fight was essentially to determine her versus Juliana, who was going to be the face of women's MMA. I don't really understand where that was coming from, because to me, no, Kayla's not the face of women's MMA, because I don't think there is a face of women's MMA. I think if you go out and you ask any random person on the street, they would know zero female fighters within the sport. That's just sort of the landscape that we're in with it right now. And that's probably like Ronda Rousey, obviously. Holly Holm, I think, had a moment post Rousey where she was sort of in that vein, where if you asked someone on the street, they would have been aware of her simply because of that upset and the magnitude and how mainstream that had gotten. But since then, I really just don't think that there is an actual answer to that, right? Like, who's the face of the women's side of the game? I don't think that we're there yet. This fight, however, and exactly in what Jed was saying, I think may change that to a degree, because to me, I don't know if this is the best and most historically important women's fight of all time. I think that may be a step a bit too far, but it certainly is the best and most historically important women's fight since 2018, when Amanda Nunes and Chris Cyborg fought in the UFC for the UFC featherweight title. Like, this to me is the most excited I have been for anything in this division in a really freaking long time. And it's honestly just one of the best fights of 2025 now at this point, like straight up, right? Maybe the best. If we're not going to get John Jones versus Tom Aspinall, this might be the one fight that I want the most at this point, aside from, like a potential Francis Ngannou, anything that's never going to happen. But because this to me just does feel so historically significant, and the weight of what happens here will impact how we view two different people who, frankly, are two of the most accomplished people on that side of the game in a way that is just really compelling and rare. And we don't get this a lot. And it's particular in the modern era of the UFC, where I know Dana likes to say we make the fights the fans want to see. That's frankly not true anymore. And in particular this year, this is just a really tough year for that. This is the fight the fans have wanted to see. We've wanted to see this since Kayla was a freaking free agent, man, for the first time around, right? Like, this has been the conversation for so many years at this point. It's crazy the way that it ends up, where I know, like, years back, we made up this whole scenario where, like, I think it was Izzy was going to lose the belt and then come back, and he was challenging, I don't know if it was like Pereira for the belt. Like, we made a whole convoluted series of events where it was like a very fun outcome in the exact opposite of maybe it was DDP. It was the exact opposite of like how we expected to get DDP Izzy. This is the exact same, right? Where it's just the whole time it was Kayla, come over, challenge Amanda, give Amanda a real challenge. And now it's Amanda who comes out of retirement for the belt that Kayla has. Like, everything about this is so fun and interesting, and I cannot wait for it, man.
Speaking of fun and interesting, Shaheen, Juliana Pena is no longer the champion, and she comes out and says the typical things fighters say. I'll be back. It's just a bump in the road. Congrats to Kayla. And then she says, I got dibs on the winner between Kayla Harrison and Amanda Nunes. There's no chance she's next, right? Like, what are we talking about here? What are chances of actually getting this in today's UFC?
I got dibs on Jed's clubs next time he pulls a bogey like that. If we're just calling dibs and that's how it works, like, sure, yeah, send them over. I'll give you my address. Like, nah, I'd pay it no mind.
Jed, is Pena next? Is she on deck for the winner of this fight?
No, I mean, shoot your shot, I guess, or whatever. Like, it's one of those things where it's so ludicrous that it's probably like beyond the pale of stupid. But I mean, I guess try, put that up there, fly that flag, see if anybody salutes. But obviously not. Like I said in our post-fight show, it's fine that Juliana Pena lost. Usually, like a two-time champion losing, that's like, where will they go? Will they just retire? It's like, actually, Pena hasn't fought anybody. She's got one win over a ranked UFC fighter. And again, think about this. This is at bantamweight. The women's bantamweight. This is not like, she has one fight against a ranked, trying to think like bantamweight, like a men's bantamweight or featherweight, where like there's turnover in the division. The same 10 people have been the women's bantamweight top 10 for as long as we've been doing rankings, basically. And she's fought one of them. And that was in her not last fight. Now the fight right before this one in Raquel Pennington. So like, and she arguably lost that. So she can fight literally anybody, any human being alive with the number next to their name. And maybe she can help advance a future title challenger. Like I can't imagine she's really popular, but 2-time champion. If somebody like a Norma Dumont gets to come in here and beat her up, boom, that person now, like that's how divisions develop. You have to take the old and build the careers of new off them. And there are very few new at bantamweight, but now that, Holly Holm isn't there to be the stepping stone in the Apex main event, Juliana Pena can step right on into that.
There you go. And those are the 2 title fights. There's another huge storyline that is coming out of this event, and that's where we're going for round 3.
Real quick.
Please.
I'm so sorry to interrupt, but just yes or no answer. I'm curious for your guys' opinion. If you were the UFC, would you rather do this fight at 145?
No.
No?
What I would rather do is I'd rather do it at 145, but lie about the scale. And so the scale says 135.
Yes, that's
because
right,
we have a women's bantamweight division that, we need to, or just like straight up declare it women's heavyweight and be fine. But like
gaslight the scale.
45 is just a lie. Bantamweight is a real division and the marquee division in many respects. And so you kind of want to keep that alive, and that is important. But it would obviously better if you could just lie about the scale so they can both walk in at whatever the hell they want to.
Yeah,
that's brilliant.
Just do what they do in Abu Dhabi. You step on the scale, they slam it home, and they say the
no
number.
Man. You gotta do the Christopher Moltisanti in the fish shop scale. Just like take a piece of paper and put it there when they're getting on. So it just takes a couple pounds off, and then boom, we're good. Easy peasy.
Well said. And that's why you get the point, Jed. Nicely done. All right. Let's get to
Sopranos reference. Boom. I'm a professional.
Good job. It was a great job. The other big storyline that has really come out of this, and Shaheen, I'll begin with you, because all week long we were talking about Patchy Mix and how big this fight was for Patchy. And you and I in particular, we had conversations on shows. We had one on Slack personally after Patchy Mix beat Magomed Magomedov in their rematch. And we both agreed Patchy Mix is a very good fighter. He's just not the best bantamweight in the world. We were fully on that corner together and had been for a while. And now he finally signs with the UFC. We're going to get it to see if he can prove if he's the guy. He talked a lot of trash all week. Batista's a journeyman. He's a stepping stone. I'm looking right through him. And then that damn bell had to ring, Shaheen. And Mario Batista goes out there and just outclasses Patchy Mix from start to finish. This fight was not close. Batista didn't even get a post-fight interview. And just tough scenes all around for the final Bellator Bantamweight champion, Shaheen. So 72 hours later, your reaction to what we saw from Patchy Mix on Saturday?
It's tough scenes all around. No kidding, man. Like, I know there's probably at least one person on the MMA fighting team who still had Patchy ranked number 1 going into this. Is there? Is it Casey?
What?
Was it Casey?
Who could that be?
Was it Jed? Was it Jed?
Surely wasn't. Definitely wasn't me.
Yeah, man. It's tough. I think it's tough for all of us because it's like it's one of these things I can certainly relate, and I know there's others in this industry who could relate. Like, I am sure at least someone outside of me on this show told their friends, like, "Oh, guys, watch out for this Patchy Mix. We went on Saturday. Watch this fight. Like, this guy's going to be a killer. He's the next one coming up." And then your friends summarily came back at you like, what the fuck are you talking about, man? That's what you had me watch? It's baffling, man. That's one of the most baffling UFC debuts I've ever seen. At this point, like you take what you watch from that and you come away from it, and it's one of 2 buckets, right? First bucket is maybe Patchy Mix was never that good. Maybe he's, whatever you want to say, fraud check, et cetera, that bucket. Or you look at the other bucket of like, hey, man, big spot, only a few weeks notice. Seemed like this happened very quickly. The UFC lights gets everybody. Is he more of like an Eddie Alvarez, who obviously lost his UFC debut? Is he more of a Shogun Rua, who got upset by Forrest, and that was just crazy in the moment? Or is he more like a Will Brooks who come over here and then like just nothing really worked out, and that's what we're going to get with him? I tend to think it's more the former. I tend to think that this is just a bump in the road ultimately, and he's going to go on that same path that a Shogun Rua did, that an Eddie Alvarez did, that he will be, at least, if not a UFC champion, like he will be competing for UFC titles at some point in this run. But yeah, man, that was a tough, unceremonious way to start it out. The UFC curse for these debuting fighters is just tough. That's another thing, like with Kayla, of like how impressive Kayla's been. The fact that she was able to blow right through this UFC debut curse and just make a mockery of it, like, speaks volumes.
Jed, we're going to get to the fallout from the fight in a moment and what Patchy had to say afterwards, so don't go there just yet. But just the fight in general, the performance, fight week, everything he had to say. Is this the worst debut for a former champion outside of the UFC ever, especially with all the hype he had heading in?
Probably. Like, I can't honestly think of many worse than this, right? Like, this is really, really dreadful. Let me check one thing before I confirm that, because I did just think of something. I want to go just taking a trip down memory lane here. No, yeah, this probably is it, right? Like, the only other one would be maybe Shogun, but that's more a victim of circumstance. Nobody respected Forrest, and he was supposed to die. And I don't think people thought Patchy was going to kill Wario. I thought that thought he'd win, but people thought Forrest was going to get like physically killed. And then he pulled off one of the bigger upsets in the history of the sport. But that also aged better. And maybe that, to Shaheen's point, maybe that'll be the case here. Like, it is really, really bad. I think certainly we should say that probably some of that is just Wario Batista fought his ass off, right? Like, came out, had a great game plan, went back to being fun Wario, not Jose Aldo Wario. And so great effort from him in that regard. Also, Patchy looked dreadful. But here's the real kicker. The thing that is concerning is Patchy looked dreadful in his fight before this. The Magomed fight was terrible. And so now it's just like, oh, is he just cooked? Like, is he done? Fighters sometimes hit walls and then they're done. Maybe Patchy got a little figured out. I don't know. But 2 bad performances in a row is, and I know he won that fight, though many people don't think he did, 2 listless, lackluster efforts in a row. That starts to be concerning. And we don't need to throw him out yet. We don't need to say he's done, the same way we don't need to prematurely goat people. We don't need to be like, his career is over, but he is absolutely on tornado watch, right? Like, this is, ooh, buddy, one more of these, and I'm going to say that you think things are dreadful for you. So really, really bad effort. The worst weekend of anyone on Saturday, certainly.
I really do wonder, and this is just, openly pondering, I have nothing to base this off of, but I do wonder how much the inactivity and just frankly bullshit of the last like 2 years of his life have affected this, right? Because you mentioned the second Magomedov fight, and you're right. Like, the Patchy mix of the past 18 months has not been the Patchy mix that we saw before that. And so I just wonder how much this unsteadiness, not knowing where you're going, this whole PFL thing, trying to get out of it, and then you don't just like, that's such a bizarre thing to have to deal with in your life, and it's such a rocky terrain where you just kind of like, is it even worth going to the gym? Like, what am I working towards? I gotta think, like, once this guy gets some cage time in, and like, if I'm him, I want to get back in the UFC. Like, I want to get a UFC fight for July, right? Like, I'm just trying to get in there and get actual cage time. Because like, you just need to refine a rhythm. I know Dominic Cruz always says Cade Rust isn't real, but for some people it certainly is. And I just gotta wonder if Patchy Mix is dealing with that at this point because of what he's gone through.
Or honestly, to build on that, like, and Mike, you said we'll talk about it. I hated his post-fight statements, and I don't think you should count any of that, because you accept the fight. But like, maybe you should have just taken this fight. You should have been like, hey man, like, probably need a real fight camp to make my UFC debut and not just run in here and do this. But he felt compelled to do it because he'd been, the last 18 months with PFL has been so dreadful. So like, maybe that's part of it too.
Oh, we're back. Okay. I don't know what just happened there.
I was just staring at you. I didn't know.
I was looking at you, waiting for you to make words.
Damn graphics. This is why we need Casey. I hope we have both guys back. I don't know.
We can hear you. We can see you.
Buddy, I think everyone can hear everybody except for apparently you.
Yeah, I think putting that photo up just like overheated everything. So Jed, real quick, let's talk about that statement that I just put up that apparently froze my entire computer. I I thought the first statement was fine. It was would have liked to do more and made more adjustments. I'll come back stronger, which is fine. And then it became took the fight on 3 weeks notice against a guy on an 8-fight win streak in the UFC. I don't hang my head. And then went on to say, most of you men that think you could give me an honest assessment could never relate, especially these wrestlers. Jed, you love this stuff. You love when guys talk a lot of noise and they say they're going to run through people. And then all of a sudden it becomes, nah, I dared to be great. I took the fight on 3 weeks notice. What did you think of the way Patchy started his statement and reaction, and then the Instagram story that kind of changed everything?
Dude, just say less, bro. Like, you were fine. Like, that is the fine statement of, tough night for me in the office. I appreciate the people who've supported and been along for the ride. That's perfect. Yeah, it was a tough night. As we just talked about, we're not saying that you're Dragoon and everything will be a failure for now on. Like, maybe that was just one bad night. But then you got to come in. We didn't make you say your shit. That's the whole thing. Nobody held a gun to your head and was like, at the pre-fight press conference, Patrick, you must say that you are looking past this man, that he has nothing to offer you, and you are staring ahead to the future because Saturday is a 4. That's a you choice. You chose to do that, my guy.
Man,
and so you need to fucking wear that.
No,
and
man,
that is so frustrating.
Nah, it's just, you got to take it in context, man. Like put yourself in their shoes for a second.
What's the context?
Put yourself in their shoes for a second. We just went over the 2 years that this guy has dealt with. Throughout that entire time, every person in that man's life is telling him, you're the best bantamweight in the world. You're the best bantamweight in the world. He's out here. He's rolled with Merab. He's rolled with Aljo. Like, he is aware of his skill set compared to all of his contemporaries at this level. He is finally in the UFC. He's finally free of the shackles of the PFL Tour and everything that he went through that. Of course, he's trying to be at this press conference, introducing himself to the mainstream of MMA, introducing himself in a way that gets people excited. It's like, hey, you may not know me, but I'm an MFer. Like, I understand that kind of talk, because that's, if he had come out and shown out, he's getting a title shot. Like, he's the next, he's Corey Sandhagen right now if he had came out and really done something. So you have to, like, if you're Patchy Mix, you have to be that guy at that press conference. And then afterwards, you have that performance. Again, you have to put yourself in the context of, like, hey, you put out the first statement because you got to put out something, right? And then you're sitting around all day on Sunday and you're hearing nonstop just people shitting on you, people saying fraud check. Patchy Mix was never this good, even though we have all of this video of him being this good against people who are very, very freaking talented within this division. And you're just that guy sitting there scrolling your phone, seeing all of this. It's going to get to you, man. You're a human being. At a certain point, you're going to be like, no, man, none of you guys understand what I was actually dealing with. Let me unload a little bit of it. Like, none of this actually matters. Again, he's a human being. Like, he felt like he had to explain himself a little bit because the entire internet shit on him for like 48 hours straight. I get that. Yeah,
because when you say that, you accept the responsibility. I'm not saying he shouldn't. He should have said that. But you got to keep the same energy. If you are coming in, you are accepting that there is a world where you get done up and look like an asshole as a man who says things all the time.
I don't think there's
I'm going to give it to him right now. He can take it right here on this show where I can be like, it's bullshit that you're going to change up the energy. Talk your shit and keep it that way.
Okay. I mean, a lot happening there. A lot going on with Patchy Mix and everything that went down on Saturday.
How much of that did you hear, Mike, or is your computer still falling apart around us?
Can you not hear me at all?
No, I can hear
we're
you.
Good, Mike.
But you're talking like you're not quite sure you're hearing us.
I can hear you guys in waves. So, I mean, this is production 1 million. And we're just kind of working through
Shaheen, whoever wins or loses, contested, because he's giving out points without any understanding of the points he's giving out.
Sure. You know what? I'm giving the point to Shaheen. Yay! Get excited for Shaheen Al-Shadi. He gets the point. Hopefully you guys could hear all of that, and we continue on. Jed, you're going to be in Atlanta on Saturday. You're going to be in Atlanta tomorrow for Media Day. You're going to be in Atlanta for the festivities, and we got Kamaru Usman finally returning to the cage. He faces Joaquin Buckley. Lot on the line there, and we got Rose Namajunas coming back to fight Miranda Maverick in the co-main event, and there's some other exciting fights that got people talking. So, hype levels for UFC Atlanta, Jed.
I'm obviously a little bit elevated since I'll be going there. It is a good card though. I would not say that this is a great card. I won't blow smoke up anybody's ass, but look, Kamaru Usman is always somebody who's worth watching fighting. This is a guy who is probably one of the 15 greatest fighters of all time. I think he's the second greatest welterweight of all time, right? Like this, he's formerly the top pound for pound fighter in the world. He's now like returning for real to welterweight, which is like this is his first welterweight fight since the Leon fights. And we all kind of know how that went. Long layoff. How will he look? Don't know. Buckley, on his tour of the retirement home, but this is certainly still like an impressive win if he can get it. Buckley saying some stuff that's deeply funny this week. Like that main event is real. I'm deeply interested in it. Very, very excited for the main event. Co-main event, less excited, but it's still good. Again, we're talking about Rose Namajunas. What we have is a main and a co-main with two former number one pound for pound fighters on it. And sure, Miranda Maverick is not the B-side that Joaquin Buckley is in the main event, but still solid enough. Cody Garbrandt, former champion, competing. Like everybody loves Paul Craig. Like that's always a good time. This is not the best road show that you've ever gotten, but this is I would say that this is probably right around middle of the road for what we expect in 2025 from a fight night on the road from the UFC.
Shaheen, what say you? UFC Atlanta. We're out of the Apex, right? No Apex. We'll have some soul at least in Atlanta and a big fight and some interesting other fights. Where are you at with this card? What are the hype levels for UFC ATL?
I don't know. Hype levels is maybe the framing that we use on this. In terms of interest, right? Like this kind of circles back around to where we started the show of just like you have to grade everything on a curve in 2025, right? If this is I don't know if this is a card a couple years ago, it's not that great. If it's a card right now, sure, it's better than a lot of the fight nights that we've been given. So like grading on a curve, yeah, B minus. Like I'm interested in particular with this main event. Like Kamaru Usman, the speed with which Kamaru Usman fell from number one fighter in the entire freaking world to barely even being spoken of is pretty astounding. And I can't think of very many comparisons of the number one fighter, number one pound for pound, sort of falling as quickly as he did out of just everyone's purview entirely. Like we don't even consider him in any conversation ever at this point. And I understand why. We just don't see him that often. So I'm very curious to see where he's at. And also this Joaquin Buckley thing is interesting. The higher up he gets in this card. Also, like Jeb was saying, Miranda Maverick, Rose, like there's some good stuff on here. Michael Chiesa is like all the way deep on the undercard for some reason. Like, I don't know. There's some good stuff. It's not the best thing ever. Like Jed and I have been at Atlanta for probably the best Atlanta event ever. And this is nowhere even close to it. But
that's one of the best events in the history of the sport ever total.
100%. It played out like that. But this isn't going to be that, but this is also not, UFC Apex 106.
I will say when I attend events, I tend to bring magic with me. So maybe something real cool is going to happen. Cause like the last 4 UFC cards I've been to, something pretty dope has happened.
What was the last one?
Ooh, what was the last one? A Tampa card, maybe? It feels like that was right. I have to let me look that up while Mike does whatever thing he's doing to transition us to the next phase.
Shaheen, before that can even happen, the co-leader, the Professional Fighters League, is back. PFL Nashville, they're building up this heat, this rivalry between Jason Jackson and Thad Jean, who is in a very
Didn't think we were talking PFL. All right.
That?
Didn't think we'd be talking PFL.
Yeah, I didn't prep for this, Mike. I'm not gonna lie.
Are you hyped at all? Is this appointment viewing for your Shaheen on Thursday? They're trying. They are trying.
Viewing. Bro, talk about appointment viewing. This is the appointment viewing event of the summer. No, man, I don't know. Does PFL exist anymore? It feels like they don't, if I'm being honest. So like, and I don't say that to be malicious or mean or anything. It's just, it's a fact of where we are right now. Like, no, I'm not.
Finals, bro.
What's that?
Let's go. Gabriel Braga. I think that like their 4th fight or something dumb against each other.
That is true.
I honestly think it's their 4th fight. I'm trying to look up and see if this is their 4th fight. It's their 3rd. It's only their 3rd. But I was like, they've definitely fought at least a couple times. But it's fun. Like, honestly, this is not a terrible PFL card. I'm looking at it right now. I'm not super excited to work it Thursday night, which I'll be doing, but not
Are
a
you gonna
bad
go
one.
to Nashville for it? Are you front row for
I'm
it?
not going to Nashville. No.
Come on, man. Break that travel budget out. Let's go.
Can't be doing that. I have things to do Friday.
Well, there's a couple things I need to say real quick. One, my internet is fried. Apparently it's coming through great on YouTube, but I literally can't hear anything these two gentlemen are saying. So I'm going to give Jed the point just to tie the game up. And
wouldn't that, no, I know. Yeah. Okay. Sorry.
Because you won 3.
Yeah.
So
we have a poll already up on the YouTube channel on who you think wins, because I could do a knockout round right now, but I can't hear what either of these guys are saying. So honestly, I just don't even know how I would be able to score that. So I'm going to leave the poll open for a little while. We'll let you guys decide. We'll let the peeps go in, rewatch the show. You can listen on the podcast network and give your thoughts on how this all works out, how you see it scored. I'll announce the winner either later on today or tomorrow. Plus, I'm about to talk to Amanda Nunes in about 4 minutes. That just kind of fell in my lap, so we got to do that as well. So we're going to cut the show a little bit earlier, and that's just kind of where we're at right now. Shaheen, you are the man. Thank you for coming back. Why should the people vote for you?
I'm going to ignore Mike's question because I don't think he can actually hear me. And
I was going to do the same thing.
LazyBet has a great suggestion here. If we should
talk
about Mike, and I don't think he knows that we're talking about it.
I'm a big fan of it.
Yeah,
it's a great idea. We're on the same page.
All right, I like that. Jed, I'll pass it over to you. Maybe pass it to me and just confuse this man.
Oh, yeah, let's pass it to me. I'm going to State Farm Arena tonight. I'm seeing Wu-Tang Clan and Run the Jewels. So that's
you're going to that?
As it's the Wu-Tang retirement tour, and got to do it. And then I'll be at State Farm on Saturday for the fight. So that's pretty fun. What's going on with you, Shaheen?
So I've seen both those guys a couple different times separately of each other. Run the Jewels, always fantastic.
I mean, terrific.
Live, tremendous. Wu-Tang Clan was one of the wildest live experiences.
I can only assume it's insane.
They were unbelievably late, like hours late. And then they came out and they were clearly on some wild shit. And they played maybe 72 songs over the course of like 2 hours, where it was just like 2 minutes and then you'd hear glass shatter and then they'd go right into another song and they do that for like 10 songs in a row. It was utterly tremendous. I hope you have
I want nothing else. I'm pumped for it. Is like the highlight of my week. And that's with the UFC here.
Well,
how much of that you get, Mike?
Have fun, Jed. I hope you guys enjoy it. Shaheen, thank you. We're going to have to bring you back again. Jed, the man. Hopefully, Case will be back to handle the production needs moving forward, because this internet probably works better than mine. So for Shaheen, for Jed, I am Mike Keck. Vote, everybody. Cast your votes on the channel. We got to go.
Who won?
The fans, Shaheen. The fans won.
We're still voting. I will announce the winner in the coming hours on social media. All right.
This is so great.
We love you guys. I gotta go. Bye-bye.
Love you all.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.